In the inventory of war, everything is accounted for. Bullets per man, fuel per mile, rations per day. But no ledger held a column for the item the U.S. Army needed most in the winter of 1944: absolution. For this, they built a base that appeared on no map. It was the chaplain's tent at the edge of the Hurtgen forest. The tent was nothing. A canvas shell over frozen mud, heated by a single pot-bellied stove. Its sign was a simple wooden cross or a Star of David nailed to a tree. It had no strategic value. Yet by December, it had become the most important destination in that sector of the front. The men who sought it out did not come for sermons or prayer meetings. They came alone or in furtive pairs, often after dark. They were infantrymen from the 28th Division, the Bloody Bucket, who had been in the forest for weeks. The Hurtgen was not a battle. It was a meat grinder set to slow. It was a labyrinth of icy trails, hidden mines, and tree bursts artillery shells that exploded in the fir tops, raining down splinters the size of knives. Men are not killed here. They were eroded. The chaplain, Father John, was a former parish priest from Scranton. His base had no supplies to give, but a tin cup of terrible coffee and a listening ear that would not judge. The soldiers did not come to confess sins of theft or lust. They came to confess what the forest had made them do. In the whispering, smoke-filled tent, they spoke of things never reported in dispatches. A private would whisper, voice cracking, about how he'd frozen during an attack, how his best friend had died screaming his name because he couldn't move. A sergeant would matter-of-factly describe ordering a man to check a path he knew was mined, because orders were to advance, and someone had to go. They spoke of mercy killings of wounded men too shattered to move, left behind with one extra grenade. They confessed to looting the bodies of the dead for dry socks and chocolate, to feeling nothing when the man next to them vanished into a red mist. Father John did not offer easy forgiveness. He had no magic words. What he offered was witness. He heard the unspeakable truth and did not flinch. He gave them the only medicine he had, the assurance that they were still human, that the war had not yet taken their souls, only bruised them. His ritual was simple. Listen, share the coffee, and then say, "God sees your heart, son." And it's not the heart of a murderer. It's the heart of a man in hell. Now go. Your squad needs you. This tent was the base for the battle that happened after the battle, the war for a man's conscience. It processed the invisible casualties, the men still breathing but morally wounded. The army could treat a gunshot wound, but only this flimsy, holy outpost could treat the guilt that infection. One night, a lieutenant brought in his whole surviving squad 8 men. They didn't speak. They just sat on the ground, staring at the stove, their faces hollow. Father John didn't press. He just made a large pot of coffee and passed it around. After an hour of silence, the youngest one, a boy from Iowa, began to cry. Then they all did. No words were needed. The base had served its purpose. It had given them a permission slip to be broken, so they could be pieced back together just enough to go back out at dawn. The chaplain's tent had no armory, no motor pool, no airstrip. Its stockpile was grace. Its defense was compassion. When the division was finally, mercifully, rotated out of the Hurtgen, they abandoned the position. The tent was struck, the cross left on the tree. But for those few weeks, it was the most fortified place in the forest. It was the stronghold that prevented a total surrender to despair, proving that in the calculus of war, the most essential base of operations is sometimes just a quiet place to weep, and the most powerful weapon is a moment of understood peace in a conscience torn by war.